So Bill Maher says why mass shootings happen. 4 reasons. Mental health, easy access, smartphones, movies and TV, right? And he spends a lot of time talking about movie, TVs, and video games. Specifically movies where it's like the hero's the what? And he talks about all these movies that are about revenge. He gives 50 movie titles that have vengeance in them. Revenge, right? And the bad guys always get slaughtered by a automatic weapon. The good guy only gets hit in the shoulder and you put a Band-Aid on it and it's good to go and you're safe, right? Yep. Okay. So then stats comes out. And it says 22 weeks into the year, America has already seen 246 mass shootings. So my wife is sitting there. She's like, babe, is it kind of weird that all these mass shootings are happening? So let me read this article from NPR. And by the way, NPR we know who NPR is. It's a very liberal tax-funded media company. May 14th, a racist attack at a Buffalo, New York supermarket snatched the lives of 10 people and 3 more injured. It was the deadliest mass shooting of the year in the United States for just over a week. 10 days later, gunmen targeted a 4th grade class at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, killing 21 and injuring 17. It was the deadliest school shooting in America since Sandy Hook. Okay, mass shooting happened in the U.S. with depressing regulatory. Among the at least 11 mass shootings over the first weekend in June 14th, 14 people were shot near a nightclub in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 14 people were shot in a busy entertainment district in Philadelphia, and 8 were shot at a graduation party in Somerton, South Carolina. It follows a shooting at a hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a weekend of violence the previous week. Sunday is day 156 of the year. The country has already experienced at least 246 mass shootings so far, at least 246 in just 22 weeks. The average is out to be 11 a week. The tally comes over the Gun Violence Archive, the independent data collection organization, et cetera, right? Let's talk about. Okay. So here's what I thought about. I said, whatever we see, we want to become. Why do so many kids become athletes? Because that's what we watch. If sports wasn't on TV, would kids become professional athletes? Or would they just do it for entertainment? If we didn't have a TV to watch Michael play, like Mike, I want to be like Mike, right? Or Mark McGuire, baseball derby with, Sammy Sosa or Barry Bonds or Wayne Gretzky or Roger Clemens or, Thurman Thomas or Barry Sanders or Emmett Smith or bring it to today.
Aaron Judge.
All the Aaron Judge who's just killing it on track to, he wants his $400 million contract. So all these things you're saying, I want to be like that guy one day. I want to be like that guy one day. Why? Because it's repetitive. And we turn them into heroes. And it's repetitive. Okay. Every time I turn to anything on the news, another mass shooting, 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 another mass shooting. It's a form of recognition. And it's constant recognition, then anger, recognition, anger. So kid is sitting there who's already angry at a video game he played, girl that broke up with him, whatever he's going through, mom didn't tell him he loves him.
Being bullied
in school.
him.
Being bullied in school, which is happening left and right. All this stuff is going on. He's saying, you know what? It's not fair. It's not fair. And he goes out there and does something. So to everybody that's kind of like wondering, maybe I'm not alone on this, are you also wondering why we're having so many mass shootings? Is this almost needed for them to say, see, we need guns. You see, we need guns. You see, we need guns. You see, we need guns. My concern is, who are we recognizing? Who are we recognizing? And are we wanting these people to also become heroes? And kids are like, I'm going to go be a hero. Dude, you're not becoming a hero by doing what you're doing. You're ruining your life by doing this. There's no benefit to you doing this part. And then the other side becomes with the media, smartphones, easy access, mental health. Okay, mental health. Partially that's on these pharmaceutical companies. You got the video games they can talk about. Nobody wants to talk about hip-hop rap. I grew up listening to hip-hop rap, hit 'em up, all this stuff, DMX, all this stuff. It's a lot of anger. It's a lot of hatred. Oh, I can't believe you're doing that. You're becoming like these. No, I'm not. I'm just telling you, affirmations has power, right? But there's a form of recognition. People want to be stars today. And this is an opportunity for me to get my, 15 seconds of fame or whatever it is, right? But why do you think we're having such a surge in mass shootings right now? 246 for the year, and it's only June. Why do you think we're having such a surge in mass shooting?
Me or you?
Well, look, I did see that thing with Bill Maher. By the way, Bill Maher is probably one of the more reasonable, necessary voices in America today, because he's not just calling out. Again, this goes back to my initial point. When Trump's not there, you don't have the scapegoat anymore, and you have to call out real issues. But the gun situation, to your point, it's not just one thing. It is mental health. Michael touched on it. I don't think 18-year-old kids should just go in there, no background check, boom, they have a gun. I think it should be raised to 21. I think when you're 16, 17, 18, you're in the middle of high school, you can't get laid, girls won't pay attention to you, you're bullied, you're picked on, you're watching movies, all these movies that you're playing games, Call of Duty, this, that. There's social media, bullying, there's so much stuff happening to you when you're 16, 17, 18. Your body's going through different things, transition, and you're angry, you're fucking pissed at the world. You know, I remember being a 16-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, I would fight with my parents every day. You're in such a negative state of mind. It's such a toxic environment. And now you have access to a gun. I'm sorry. I mean, things need to be done. We talked about the easy access to guns, but mental health. Look, do you think people in the United States are crazier than everywhere else in the world? I think we have an equal amount of crazy people here in the United States as we do in Europe, as they do in Australia, as they do in Canada. Crazy is crazy. I don't think USA is crazier. But when you add on everything else you touched on on top of mental health, it's a recipe for disaster. And look, at the end of the day, enough's enough.
But why increase in mass shooting?
I don't know if there is. I mean, maybe there, but I just feel like the media sensationalizes everything. I think people are completely within their right to be fed up with media, and media, you know, whether it's Trump, whether it's mass shootings, whether it's politics, whether it's they're going to cover the event that gets eyeballs. So, as sad as it is, people tune into Uvalde. People tune into what's going on in Buffalo. People tune into when a synagogue gets shot up. People tune into when someone walks into a church and starts shooting up churchgoers. It's horrible, but the media goes by eyeballs. And like you said, affirmation has power, and what you show on the media is a real thing. So I don't know if there's more mass shootings now or if they're just covering it more. I know you just said the stats, but something needs to get done. And this is the first step in the strategy that what the senators are doing. And keep in mind, it takes in the House, I think it's just a majority vote. And then the Senate, I think you need 60 votes. So we're not even anywhere close yet. But I think the country is yearning to do frickin' something. To sit back and be like, hey, a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. Well, that didn't really work in Uvalde, did it? Because the fucking cop stood outside the classroom for what, 45 minutes?
Yeah, but
good guy with a gun?
But that doesn't fix it. The changes they make doesn't fix that.
Not everything's gonna fix an individual scenario, but I think we're talking in a macro perspective for the United States, right? Things need to get done. You touched on opioids. Mental health is a major thing. Okay, like you said, rap, hip hop, to an even larger extent, the video game, gun culture, movies. You know, the good guy, like you said, the bad guy gets his head blown off. The good guy gets shot in the shoulder, keeps carrying on. All these things add up to what's going on in America today.
I'm going to tell you why I don't think it can be fixed. And it's because of the mindset of the country right now. And I'll give you my experience. I spent 8 years in prison. And during those years, I spoke to a lot of young kids that came into the system, 21, 22 years old, mandatory minimum drug sentences. They get 20 years. They're spending 17 and a half because no more parole in the federal system. You can write the same script for every single one of them. Fatherless home. Mom, young, trying to do her best. She's got her own problems, can't raise the kid properly. He's got no guidance, gets on the street, gets with the local gangbanger drug dealer. Before you know it, they're in prison. No guidance whatsoever, right? And that's the trend. Give these kids contraceptives when they're, in high school. Let them go out and have sex all they want so they can bring kids into this world that don't have a father and don't have a stable home. Now they have their cell phones. I agree with Bill Maher. You can get Netflix on your cell phone now. It's not like you have to go to movies anymore. Mm-hmm. Go look at Netflix. Action, adventure, shoot 'em up, all low-budget films, all about action and adventure. That's what these kids are watching. It's all about guns, 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 guns. That's the kind of product that they're putting out there now, especially after the pandemic. So they're seeing all of this stuff. They got no guidance in the house, nothing at home. Emotional problems, yeah, because so many of them are on drugs. That brings you an emotional issue right away. You're not in your right mind when you're doing this stuff. It's a deadly, lethal a combination of things that are taking place. And there's no cure at this moment because nobody's willing to go back. Now, I will offend people. I don't know why women are offended when you tell them your child doesn't have a father. Why is that offensive to you, ladies? Do you want to bring this kid up by yourself? You don't want help? I'm a father. I want all the help I can get with my kids, in the right kind of help. I want my wife there. When I can't perform, she can. When I can't reason with them, she can. But people get offended by this now. You're offending women if you say, you should have two parents in the home. So how is this going to turn around? I don't think it is. I know it sounds like I have a pessimistic view because I'm being realistic. This has been my experience. And I don't... unfortunately in life, so often, it happened in me. I had to sink to the depths before I made a transformation in my life. It had to hit me because at one point in time, I thought I was in control. I thought I can do everything until boom, I'm in a 6x8 cell thinking I'm going to spend the rest of my life there. And then, wow, this is a real problem. I'm in trouble here. And I started to look like Patrick said, then you start to really look at things. What's going on here? For me, fortunately, it wasn't too late. So what's going to happen here before people say, okay, enough? We got to get back to reality. I'll tell you this too, and this shouldn't be offensive. As a matter of faith, you can't push God. You can't push God out of everything. You can't unless you have a clear answer as to why we're here and there is no God. You have to at least consider him. You can't push him out of everything. And that's happening here in this. There's no alternative. What's the alternative? A real documented, evidence-backed alternative to God. Give it to me. And then maybe we can look that way. But there is none. So people are pushing God out. And it's showing. Mm-hmm. And listen, as a Christian, I'm telling you, it's biblical. It's prophetic. You don't want to. I don't want to get there right now because I don't think this is the appropriate time for it. But I see what's happening.
But Michael, maybe what you said is very powerful, and I'll tell you why. Like what hit me is maybe your story is a metaphor of what needs to happen to America. Because you said, you were a gangster, you were a racketeer, you ended up in jail for 8 years. Could have been longer. You had to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I going to spend the rest of my life in this cell? And you had to hit rock bottom before you had to turn your life around, which you have, rightfully so.
I know,
but maybe that's what needs to happen to America right now.
What would that be, Adam? What catastrophic thing would have to happen to this country till we say, wait a second, we got to go back to the roots. We have to have a family here.
I think it's a culmination of everything that's happening right now. Okay.
Our kids are being killed off in drugs.
Exactly.
In droves. This is. You know what?
Course.
I think it's the worst problem we're facing in this country. It's an epidemic, and people are not paying attention to it. Those that are suffering over it, and there's so many of them. If you think 100,000 kids, 100,000 people between the ages of 24 and 45, how many families has that affected?
Hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
We're talking a lot of people are affected by this, and it hasn't stopped. It's continuing. It's probably getting worse. So what catastrophic event has to happen before we realize, hey, this is real problem here? Mm-hmm. How do you reverse that? I don't have the answer. I don't know. Because the mentality now, that's why I get so incensed with people on the left. You see this stuff happening. You're pandering to criminals. You're at the expense of legitimate, hardworking citizens. You're doing all these things that Bible says there's going to be a time when good is bad and bad is good. It's happening right now. And I don't know how you reverse that.
But I think at the end of the day, common sense needs to win out. I mean, everything you talked about is absolutely accurate. And I don't have kids, so I don't have those same exact worries that Pat has every single day with a 1-year-old, a 5-year-old, 8-year-old, and 10-year-old, right? I mean, I don't have those exact same worries. It's scary out there. But still, I'm sure Pat would agree that the future does look bright. But sometimes it becomes, it gets darker before it becomes light. I think we're going through a very dark time in America right now, and I think it's going to get uglier. I think a recession, as Pat talks about, is upon us. But, McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, octogenarians out there, the 80-somethings-year-olds who are running this country, I think it's time for them to go, and I think a new leadership needs to take place. That's why I'm so excited to vote for someone like a Ron DeSantis. I think a new, fresh perspective needs to reach America. The same old that we've been doing for decades is not going to work anymore.
But here's my thinking, and Patrick, maybe you can, because I know how you think, and you too, Adam. What kind of catastrophic event has to occur before we get back to the roots of what we're really supposed to live like? We're parents. You'll experience maybe this one day. We understand what it takes to raise kids. It's not easy. It's difficult, even under the best of conditions. It's a hard job. It's work. And we're raising a person to go out into the world. Look, I will not allow my daughter to go into Los Angeles alone. I said, you can't go. Dad, you can't go, period. I am not going to have you there worrying that you're going to get out of the car or you're in a parking lot and somebody is scoping you out. I tell her, you got pepper spray, you walk into a parking lot, you do what I do, okay? You look all around you, you make sure everything you know everything around you. She says, Dad, you're getting me nervous. I said, I want you nervous. Because these things are happening right now. And I don't want you to be that statistic, and I don't want to go through that. I'm being selfish, too.
Does she listen
I don't
to
want
you,
to
though?
lose you. Well, she does, because I put fear in her in that way. I said, look, this is the world we live in. It's reality. Okay? You go out, you're in a parking lot. I'm hearing things. I mean, in New York, they're going up to people and throwing them on the tracks. I lived in that city. I never saw things like that. I mean, this is a crazy,
Even
crazy
in crime-riddled New York in the late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, in the 70s.
It was pretty bad back then, right?
It was
Someone
bad.
like Giuliani had to come in and clean it up.
It was very bad back then, yes. Honestly. And you know what? People can say what they want about Giuliani. He prosecuted me, wanted to put me away for the rest of my life. And I like the guy because he cleaned up my city. I mean it.
And he wrote the forward to the book.
And he wrote even before that.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.